History remembers kings. It remembers empires built on conquest, power, and gold. It remembers wars that reshaped borders and toppled thrones. But 2,000 years later, the words of one man are still being quoted in hospitals, on battlefields, in prisons, and in the quiet moments before sleep. Not the words of Caesar, not the declarations of emperors, the words of a carpenter from Galilee who never wrote a book, never commanded an army, and never ruled a nation. What did Jesus say that changed history forever?
The answer begins not with thunder, but with a whisper.
Imagine standing at the edge of everything you fear. The storm is real. The darkness is closing in.
And in that moment, a voice cuts through it all with 4 words that have echoed across centuries. Do not be afraid, only believe.
Jesus spoke these words to people who had lost everything, people trembling at the edge of despair, people who had no reason left to hope, and yet those words carried a weight that no human logic could explain. They were not a suggestion, they were not a comfort strategy. They were a declaration from someone who had authority over the very things people feared most. In a world that has never stopped being afraid, these words have never stopped being needed.
Every generation has found them waiting, steady and unchanged, like a hand extended in the dark.
Then came a command that rewired human civilization. Love one another as I have loved you. Simple in its structure, revolutionary in its demand. Before these words, love was mostly transactional. You love those who love you back. You protect your tribe. You help your own. Jesus shattered that framework completely. He was not speaking about affection or sentiment. He was speaking about a love that serves without condition, forgives without limit, and extends even to those who have done nothing to deserve it. These words transformed how millions of people understood compassion, community, and what it means to be human. Entire movements of mercy, hospitals, schools, and acts of sacrifice across history trace their roots back to this single command. The world was never the same after it was spoken. There are moments in every life when the mountain simply will not move. When the diagnosis is final. When the door is closed. When every reasonable voice says it is over.
And into those moments, Jesus spoke a promise that has carried generations through the impossible. With God, all things are possible. Not most things. Not the easy things, all things.
So these words have been whispered in the darkest corners of human experience and have somehow produced courage where there was none. They have turned surrender into perseverance and despair into action. They do not promise that the road will be easy. They promise that no road is beyond reach when walked in faith. At a moment when his closest followers were confused and afraid, Jesus made a statement that would divide and define history.
I am the way, the truth, and the life, not a way among many, not a truth open to revision. A singular, absolute declaration that has been debated, celebrated, and proclaimed across every continent on earth.
These words have shaped entire civilizations, inspired martyrs, and given ordinary people an unshakable foundation when everything else collapsed. Whether whispered in a cathedral or scratched into a prison wall, they carry the same weight today as the evening they were first spoken. And then perhaps the most personal invitation ever extended to the human race. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not come when you are ready, not come when you have fixed yourself. Come now, exactly as you are, carrying everything that is breaking you. No words in recorded history have comforted more people in more languages across more centuries than these. Empires have risen and crumbled into dust. Languages have been born and forgotten. But these words remain, still speaking, still reaching, still finding the one person in the room who needed to hear them most. And perhaps in this very moment that person is you.